Have you ever heard a child try to explain something? Let me give you an example. This happened just a few days ago. My child trying to explain his experience on a trampoline. Mom, there was a big black blanket and I jumped so high in the air that I almost touched a bird. And then Phoebe's little foot got scratched on this little pokey thing. Now, that's a 4-year-old. If you had no context, would you have figured out that a 4-year-old was trying to explain their experience jumping on a trampoline? See, children are not always the best with explaining things that have happened to them, whether good or bad. Sometimes they may not even be able to differentiate between good and bad things happening to them at all. That's why it's so important to learn the signs of child abuse early on. Now, the age between birth and the age of 5 is the most critical in a child's life. Imagine being on the earth for 5 years or less and not knowing that hitting, spitting, kicking, pushing, grabbing, that those are bad things. But it happens. And when things happen during this time period for a child, it sticks with them for life. Now, over the next couple of moments, I'm going to talk to you guys about some heavy topics, some personal experiences, and how to recognize signs of abuse, and then I'm going to bring a call to action to you guys. 2 years ago, I became a patched member of a 501c3 motorcycle organization known as Guardians of the Children. The premise behind this organization was to protect and defend children against abusers. We worked closely with CPS and law enforcement to reach out to children who had been victims of abuse or who had witnessed violent crimes in their home. I never thought that my experience with this organization would lead me to a moment that I never wanted to have happen. While working for a private preschool, I witnessed an adult teacher strike a child in the face simply for saying a bad word. Now, I was shocked and stunned by this action. I almost froze in my tracks. As an assistant teacher, I felt helpless and I had no idea what to do. But I knew that as helpless as I felt, this child was helpless even more so. I alerted CPS, I let them know what was going on, and I told the parents of the child what had happened as well. Those parents filed a police report and an investigation was underway. Luckily, this child was verbal enough to be able to corroborate and let detectives know what had happened to him. Sadly, though, he felt it was his fault. He said, "I'll be good, Mom. She won't hit me if I'm good." Now, sadder still is that there are children who are nonverbal who can't speak for themselves even after an adult has advocated for them. And this brings me to noticing signs of abuse. There are many different types of abuse. There is verbal, there is sexual, there's emotional, and there's physical. And children do not always know what has happened to them. And if you don't talk to them about it, they will never know. Now, for children who are nonverbal, there are some things to look out for, even though it is a little bit harder. So the biggest thing to look for is mannerisms. In an infant or a toddler who is usually calm, peaceful, but they become very upset and thrashing and crying around an adult, that is something to look out for. Now, the opposite is also true. If they're normally loud and rambunctious, but they become very quiet and reserved in front of an adult, that is something to be a cause for concern as well. The best rule of thumb is to always just go with your gut. If you have a bad feeling about an adult in a child's life, go with that gut feeling. Now, for children who are a little more verbal, some things you can do is have daily conversations with them. This is so important. If I've learned anything in working with children and having 3 of my own, it is that they are very, very smart and they will never tell a lie. However, sometimes they can get their stories mixed up, just like my son trying to describe his experience on a trampoline. I didn't know that a big black blanket on the floor was supposed to be a trampoline, but through having a conversation, I understood that. So some things you can do with more verbal children is just talk to them. If you're a parent, talk to them about their caregivers. If you're a caregiver, talk to them about their parents. You can ask them open-ended, non-leading questions such as, do you like so-and-so? Why or why not? Get them to tell you what's going on in their lives. Which leads me to my plea. Do not stay silent. In the Guardians of the Children, our motto is, do not let your silence drown out their cries. I get chills just thinking about this. Do not stay silent. Do not let fear get in your way. Do not worry about the repercussions. Don't let the fear of losing everything, losing your job, get in the way of reporting abuse. And it doesn't matter how close you are to the abuser, abuse is not right, and it is not okay. And every child deserves a chance at life. Children are the most naive, precious, beautiful little things full of wonder and joy, and they do not deserve to have that taken away from them. And it is up to you to stop this. Now, I don't share my story with you just for the sake of sharing a story. I share it with you to get you to realize that abuse is very real, and it happens more often than you would think in the most unsuspecting circumstances. Children do not have a voice yet. You can be that voice. You can give them that chance at life that they so deserve. You can do something to save a child, and do not stop until they are safe. They are our future.